45 miles they have to come down and the patrol by walk only. There's no other way to come. And sometimes they bring, each time when they come, they bring a little bit of vegetable like cabbage or a few tomatoes. Once they were not, always tomatoes very difficult, but once they brought 4 tomatoes. Small, and I had another Swamiji came, I said, we all touched the tomato, we didn't eat at all. We touched it several times, the tomato, looking at it, the beauty, the shape, the color, the touch, you see. You wouldn't believe it, how in the snow suddenly see 4 tomatoes, you see. It is more than gold. You can bring a bundle of all the pounds and dollars, it's just a piece of paper like toilet paper, it's value there. You think it's all great there, isn't it? Only there, God's grace is the only thing that can survive, you see. Then suddenly I can't believe it. Just I was supposed to be still in the Himalayas. Look at that, I have to come here. That's the karma. Okay, this evening I'm very, very happy that my first satsanga after coming from the hospital, I directly came. Yesterday I wasn't even sure that I'm here today, and I can't believe it. I'm still not in the hospital. Well, Sunday is the day we keep for satsang. Of course, for yogis, every day is a satsang. And just Sunday, because of our daily life, which brings our mind what a state called extrovert. Extrovert means it goes outward towards central pastures. To get that outgoing senses toward the self-center, Atman, or God, Brahman, Christ, anything you want to call it, that is called introvert. Our sense, the natural tendency of the senses is to go outward to central pastures. 5 senses: eyes, ears, taste, smell and touch. These 5 senses draw the mind, which is the captain, outward. Without the cooperation of the mind, senses cannot do anything. Just like when you are sleeping, someone puts some ice cream in your mouth, you eat the ice cream. By closing the eyes, still you are not. And when you wake up, ask, hey, how was the ice cream? How was the ice cream? Did you eat last time ice cream? No? You must have. You've forgotten. We don't know because mind is not there. Even if the mind is here in the waking state, you will not enjoy the world unless the mind cooperates or even suffering. An example is King Janaka. I'm sorry that now and then I had to ship my luggage. King Janaka is a realized jnani, they call it. But there were lots of pundits, learned pundits. They are good in scriptures, good in Vedic chantings, and they can explain the philosophy A to Z to A. They can put everything upside down, downside up. Very intellectual, very learned, very witty. They start slowly spreading rumors. Yes, this king can't be a realized Brahmajnani, because Brahmajnani should have completely detached from all objects, because they should not have any connection with this world. But the king lives in the palace, like the Marcos, with 3,000 pairs of shoes. No, this king did not have that. But anyhow, but still he had the palace, he had his queens, all the pleasures. He is surrounded by these pleasures. what's the purpose of all this if he realized jnani? So the rumors went on spreading, gossips. And it reached the palace. And king also heard about it, what is going on around the city. Sometimes the kings, they also go incognito. They change their clothes, and they put on some false beard, and then just take somebody with the other attendant, they also change their, and they go and sit in the public places and pubs, etc., and see what people are talking. Because they can't come with the crowns and the regalia, so they just become an ordinary man and come and sit around the public places and walk around them and sit with everybody. And of course, everyone think, oh, they are just like another drunkard came to get drunk, And then the king will ask and hear, oh yes, that king is very bad. He is not a Brahmajnani, He himself talks this conversation, you see. And so he wanted to know what the people, and at last he knew. So he wanted to teach a lesson to these pandits, intellectual pandits, who do not have any direct personal intuitive experience about Brahman or God. So one day he sent a royal invitation from the palace, came from the queen's palace with the seal and emblems, that invited by the queen for the special royal party in the royal garden, Buckingham Palace. Invitation given to all the priest pandits, and pandits saw this engraved special invitation for royal dinner. So they all put on their best dresses. This is a great opportunity. We are going to be the palace and the guest of the queen or king. They came with their chariots and so forth. They all have diamonds and rubies and everything they can think of. And they were seated up, and the feast started. The ancient days, they still also palace, though they can have plates, they use the banana leaves. The banana leaves, there's about 108 dishes must be there in a king's feast, 108 varieties to taste every taste. And there is sour taste and in between taste, in between sweet, in between this, in between that. 108 varieties of best dishes to stimulate the taste buds. Every way. So no one will go, because sometimes two same dishes may not like by everybody. You see, suppose Babu cooks some Gujarati food, I come from South India. Oh, it's nothing. Where is sambar and idli, I will ask you. See? And there, Shrikant, is it not? Gujarat? Shrikant. Oh yes, that's the best thing, So from one thing to another, every types of 108, all the top royal dishes, there are 108, because 108 is the topmost number, you see. Whether the Mara, Java or 108 dishes, everything 108. Sometimes 1008, of course. Food you can't make 1008, too much. So 108 dishes were there, and they were all smelling, and it stimulates all the olfactory nerves, and they stimulated the taste buds and stimulated everything, and the water start coming up from their tongue. But of course, still the time has not come for them to put it in their mouth. Only all other senses are very active. The eyes looks beautiful, everything so wonderful. And so that started their achamana. That is, before they start having their dinner, they must first of all offer the 5 pranas, the 5 vital air in the body, not the physical air, vital air prana, which we are actually supporting this vital. The food is not for the body, it's for the vital air which goes through the body for the ailing, cure, etc. And just like I'll tell you about my treatment I had, how they do natural cure. So there's a prana there, and so we are supporting the prana, increase the pranic activities. So we don't consider it as protein, chemicals and carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals, but everything is the prana which stimulates the prana. So they took the water, that is a water element, and they invoked the 5 pranas. Om prana saha, Om apana saha, Om udana saha, Om samana saha, Om Brahmane Swaha. They stopped. They didn't know. They start chanting. And all looking at once without any motion. They don't even breathe now. Because as they start sipping the water and invoking, each of their head, a big heavy sword is hanging on a thin thread. It's directly pointing onto their head. That thread is so thin, it can just break and crush onto their skull, straight into the skull. Now, they don't breathe because they can't get out, because it's the royal dish has been served and it is to get away, it is against the rule, plus it will displease the king. Also, if they stay there, we do not know when that sword is going to crash onto their skull. And anyhow, they want to finish this feast and want to get away. So they ate all the 108 dishes. And the attendant starts pouring. No more, they don't even talk. Finish. And they got out. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. They got out, washed their hands, and they brought before the king's court. And they were seated on a beautiful things. King asked, "How are you, my pandits? The feast was okay. I made the best dishes for you. 108 dishes with 108 tastes to satisfy all your palates, all your senses, and also the smell, the sight, all the senses. How was it, the feast?" No one opened the mouth. Till they were trembling. Thank God the sword did not crash onto their head. But one senior Pandit got up. "Your Highness, we want to make a complaint. There was a cruel practical joke done some of your ministers. On our head there was a big sword hanging on a thin thread. Only by grace of God we all came back without having any injury or death." Oh, that was so. But tell me first, I'll inquire about all those. Just tell me, out of the 108 dishes, I made the best one. Which one you like the best? Because one dish is, because everyone cannot like the every dishes, but one dish will be your favorite. If you are a Spanish, you will call it paella. If you are an Englishman, you will, what is the best dishes in England?
Someone else's.
Custard? No. The what you call barbecue? Anyhow. Fish and chips. Okay, bed and breakfast, fish and chips. So, and if South Indians, idli and sambar, and for Gujaratis, Srikant, and so every dish is, so someone must like something, and which one you liked, and so each one we asked them, and now everyone said, "Sir, we can't remember. But you ate 108 dishes." "Yes, sir, because we don't want to displease you, you are invited." Then why didn't you know that which one is best, which one is tasty, which one is without salt, without sugar? Sir, we are thinking about the sword every moment. We are looking which moment is going to crash on our thing. So we are thinking about the sword, not about the food what we are eating. But we ate everything. Sir, we did not leave anything. Everything we ate. Yet you don't remember anything. "Yes, sir, because of that." The king said, you ate 108 dishes to satisfy all your senses, yet you could not remember or enjoy those dishes because your mind is concentrated on the sword. You see? So also, a God-realized soul may be among you, incognito sitting. Like everybody, he also eats everybody like everybody else. He also sleeps like everybody else. But he is not, when he eats, he is not thinking of that food. It is only to satisfy this hunger so the body can carry on the function. He may be surrounded by this chandelier. Suppose he is sitting a beautiful chandelier looking at it, but chandelier is not going to bring any happiness. Is it going to bring any happiness? If that is so, then everyone can be happy. Just only a chandelier there. If you have billions of dollars like Marcos and about 30,000 pair of shoes on the bottom, how many pairs of shoes you can wear? You got only 2 feet. And she has got about 5,000 pairs of handbags. How many handbags you can put? Here handbag, back handbag. How what she can carry in that handbag? She is saying lipstick and the powder and the mirrors and massacre, what do you call it? Massacre. And you got a 10 bedrooms or 20 bedrooms. How many bedrooms you can sleep? You got 20 bedrooms, you go from one room to another every and enjoy all the 10 bed, 20 bed. So jump from one bed to another, one room to another. So that is only in your mind. It has got no meaning. I stay in this palace, all these things are there, paraphernalia. But my mind is not concentrated on these type of things. Just like 108 dishes, you could not even remember one dish, what you ate. So when my mind is not only concentrating on the sword, I transcend it and reach the highest Brahmic bliss, which is mine, which is myself. Constantly identifying with that self, not with this body. That's called Atma Rama. The difference between a sage and a person like us, we are called Bhoga Rama. Again, Bhoga Rama means we enjoy the bhoga, senses, all the sense pleasures. When we ate very good pizza, ice cream, etc. But they are enjoying the very self, the bliss, ananda. We can't describe the happiness of the self because the Atman itself is ananda, the anandoham. It is bliss. It's not something you create, like an ice cream, you create sensation in the palate, in the taste bud, send the nerve impulse to the brain, and brain thinks it is good. Atma Rama, when the experience of the self is not like stimulated external object, its very nature is ananda. Just like the nature of the fire, the candle, is light and heat. You take the heat out of the fire, it's not fire. The essential nature of the fire, it must be hot. You take the heat out of it, then there's no meaning. It's no more fire. So the heat and the fire are one and the same. You can't separate heat from the fire. You cannot separate light from the candle. One and the same. Same way, nature of the self is ananda, bliss. You can't separate that. So once you tasted that ananda, bliss, which is also called peace, silence, shanti, shalom, peace that passeth all understanding. In the Bible it is clearly quoted, exactly the same realization of the sage. Peace that passeth all understanding. You can't describe that peace. Yes, you can understand. I can understand peace, Swamiji. I went yesterday to the beach with a girl with a cigar and a couple of beer and a champagne, and I was enjoying that beautiful sunset. I had a peace. Well, that is called peace you are talking about? That peace you can understand. That's not the peace, because that is sensual experience. Peace you can understand, you can experience. This peace you cannot understand because there is no one to say, to whom you are going to say, I am, just like a person who is sleeping. Ask him, hey, are you sleeping? Yes, I am sleeping. Because at the moment you know that he says, I am sleeping, you know that he is not sleeping. Are you sleeping? Well, we know that he is sleeping. So the person who's in that cosmic experience, in that ananda, he cannot even say. They only experience when they came out of the state, that ananda or the peace, silence, they explain in negation. They can't explain. The words cannot explain. Nanda pracham, bhe pracham, no bheda pracham, na pracham, adhishtama viharam, agrahyam, alakshanam, ajandyam. In fact, the Sanskrit, if you know, you will be bewildered about the explanation of this self, about the nature of that experience. Nanda pracham is neither experience, inner consciousness, nor outer consciousness, not in between. It is not intellectual, it is not mind, it is not here, it is not that, it is not. They put everything in neti, not. Ah, what a kind of experience, not. Well, if I ask you one experience, I am going to tell you about a fruit called jackfruit. How many people taste jackfruit? Show the hand, please. Oh, we are all bent in, forget it. Okay. Many other people never even heard what jackfruit. Have you heard jackfruit before? Have you heard jackfruit? Never even heard. So, Swamiji, please explain jackfruit. So I am going to explain jackfruit. Jackfruit is like a big melon. Big as like a big melon. Watermelon. Long. But it has got a thick skin like a like a pineapple. Thick. And then it has got a bigger thorn outside, which is very thick. And inside, like pineapple, it is bigger pulp with a bigger seed. And it tastes like something like mango, banana, pineapple. And it smells something like, I don't know, something like in between, like a banana, rose, and this and that. Well, you understood, is it not? You got it. You understood now what jackfruit is it not? You all know that jackfruit. I explained it so. Well, now see, chemical constitution of the jackfruit, Swamiji. Well, jackfruit is made up of, like any other mango or tropical fruit, is made up of sweets, contains 3 basic elements: carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. Because all sweets contains 3 basic things: carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. Scientifically explained. Very scientific. So now you tasted now jackfruit, isn't it? So if you don't have that experience, doesn't matter how much I explain about that, you will never understand the jackfruit. Suppose never tasted honey, any amount of me talking about honey, whole night, days and months and years. So your question comes, Swamiji, that jackfruit tastes like the fruit which I tasted yesterday in supermarket, what you call banana. I said, no, that's not like taste like banana. Then what? So you tasted other fruit. Is it taste like mango? No. Then what? It tastes this. Any type of experience you had in your life of any type of fruits, when you say that's the experience of the jackfruit, my answer will be only one answer I am going to give. What's that answer? What's the answer I can give you? All your experiences in your entire life, you can say, all that experience is not the experience of jackfruit. So, neti. Suppose a born blind man, you are all PhDs. Everyone has got PhD, but you are all born blind people. My subject is red rose. Well, here it's got a carnation, isn't it? Carnation?
Yes.
Yeah. It's called orange pink. What do you say? Pink? Orange? Pink. Okay, pink. I'm having a carnation flower in my hand, the pink color. Pink color. What is pink color, Swamiji? It is something like a pink. Well, Swamiji, that pink color is something like a hot dog experience? No, it is not like the experience. It is something color. What is color? Well, if there is eyes, you can see 7 visible colors: violet, indigo, green, blue, yellow, orange, red. The pink comes between yellow and orange, yes, something like orange. Scientifically explained, what is then orange? It's a wave, you know. Pink, violet, yellow, green, it's all only waves, just waves. It stimulates your retina and you see a kind of experience as orange. And lowest wavelength is violet, then indigo, then green, blue, yellow, orange, and red. Red is the last spectrum. Oh, so it's wave. Waves mean just like the water comes to waves in the ocean. Oh yes, we understood now. We understood the color, is it not? So you are talking about the thing, the waves in the ocean. So your orange is something like the wave in the ocean. My answer is no, that is not orange. But you told me about it. It is like a water in the wave or some other waves. So all the experience I can say only with one answer, neti neti. So even if an experience of a color or a taste we can't explain with ordinary language, except that take the honey, if you want, you never taste sweet, okay, here is what honey is, take a drop and put it in your mouth, in your tongue. Ah, this is sweet. This is honey. Now you understood. Same way, the king said, you experience not this self, you experience all the 108 dishes. You thought the whole world is only enjoying, seeing, smell, taste, and when you don't have this, it is no experience for you. But the nature of the self is beyond description. Once you tasted that peace, which passeth all understanding, it's not internal, it's not external, then all other experiences is something a person who lives in big palace and eating every day fish, caviar, and now he is eating a hamburger on with the mustard, and there's a difference between that and that, is it not? So there is no description for you. You can't understand what we are talking about, that Ananda. You don't understand what a Brahmajnani means. So these paraphernalia, what you see, palace, queens, all those horses and elephants and diamonds and rubies, these are all just a meaningless thing. It is there. My karma has brought me as a king. I have to do my duty. But I am not enjoying this, just like you could not enjoy those dishes because your mind is concentrated. So, everything is the mind. If these five outgoing senses, called extrovert, when you can draw these senses from the central pastures, I bet a mind cannot do much, because mind goes where the senses go. And when the senses are not moving to central pastures, then it settles down. And in that state, mind has got 5 moods, or you call it in the in the electronical modes, is not? Modes in the modes, just like you've got electronic things in, you put it 1 mode, 2nd mode, etc. So the mind has got 5 moods, not 5 modes, 5 modes. In fact, it's like a mode. It changes into one of the mode. Patanjali explains that mood into beautifully, and no other psychologist explains so beautifully. He says, Kshipta, Vikshipta, Mudha, Niruddha, Yagagrada and Niruddha. These are the 5 modes he explained. Kshipta, the first state of the mode, is Kshipta, scattering around. Each senses pull the mind to its direction. Eyes come, oh mind, come here, I will show you some beautiful things. Look at that topless and bottomless going on. Yes, where it is, look at that. And then he said, come on, let us see, I can show you the beautiful sound, melodious sound. Look at cha-cha-cha, pa-ba-ba sound coming up, oh good. And mind, okay, I will go there. But mind says, the eye says, you come and watch that, you can't do that. Because mind can only do one thing at a time, we can't do all the things. So if you want to see you, I can't hear. Come on, he says, no, you must come to me. So eyes pulling one side of the ears. And by that time, taste, look at the champagne, look at the caviar, look at all those smells coming up. Come on, let us enjoy. And so ears and say, no, you come to me. And so the touch says, look at the soft, velvet tight skin. Touch it. Ooh, the hand is as good as this daughter's hand because she uses very liquid such and such. Very soft. So, taste and smell. So each sense is trying to pull the mind to 5 different directions. Just like a man has got 5 wives, and each one is trying to pull him to one of the bedrooms. Whole life he is pulled from one place to another. No place, you can't even sleep like that. So the mind is like that, pulled by the 5 wives, like 5 senses. Come to me, enjoy me, through me, enjoy through me, enjoy through me. And that's called Shibda, scattered, constantly scattered. And when you are here, you want to go to pub. When you are in the pub, you want to go to Himalayas. When you are in the Himalayan cave, you want to come to Paris, London, etc. Never stays in one spot. And this vikshipta state is the most disturbing state of mind. There is no peace at all at that time. Mind is constantly moving from one thing. Oh, you want to do this, you want to go far, you want to drink, you want to enjoy, you want to have champagne party, you want to meet people, you want to go with your girlfriend, and it's constantly moving. It lost its natural peace. And you think that's the right thing. When the mind demands more of this thing, if we get excited, you think you are going to be all right. That only destroys its peace. Then it cannot go on enjoy all the time. You can drink a cup of coffee, maybe two. Third cup, and fourth cup, you throw it away. So senses cannot go on enjoy the same thing, I heard that some people do that. It seems they want to enjoy the food they eat. So they eat and then they vomit it and then fill up the stomach again they vomit it, again they eat, and continuously they go on, so they can go on enjoy it seems. Well, I thought maybe why can't they invent a artificial stomach, put it up here and put a wall there. They want to chew it and then it comes up and open the wall. Whatever necessary wants to fill up the stomach, go on, move to the other plastic stomach. You see, I think their invention is much better than artificial heart and artificial all the problems, They don't think in that term anymore, you see. I must be a great scientist, you see. So the five senses are, and then it is tired of this constant motion and it wants to rest. Vikshipta. That state is drawing the mind away from this sensual pastures, and then you take a book and concentrate. Of course, if you are not a yoga or philosophical student, you don't know how to concentrate on a candle or repeat an Om Shanti, Om, Om, Om. So what you can do, you can only take a newspaper or a novel and start reading. Yes, Prince Andrew is going to get married and she has got 10 jewels and 400 these things, and so you start reading the novel to focus the mind, and the mind get concentrated. And at that time your wife calls, hey honey, Mrs. Babu came and told Babu, come here, your dinner time. But Babu is reading the novel about Prince Charles and the new royal wedding is coming up. So much engrossed in his mind, he couldn't even take off, he couldn't hear. She called several times, but he wouldn't hear at all. Because the mind is now concentrated on the sight. Here doesn't, so the other sense, though functioning, it won't have any effect. At that, hey, what did you say? Oh, the hand, oh, I'm sorry. Where were you? See, he's there, but she's asking, where were you? Oh, I was thinking something else about the business invested yesterday, about $5 million invested in that stock market, and I want to see how much, if the stock market went up about 2%, how much I could make it, that money. Oh, my $5 million became $6 million today. So I was just calculating everything mentally. Though you don't need an objective, please go on concentrating. And anyone will call, anyone will pass by, you don't? No, you won't notice. So your mind is drawn into some area, but suddenly, after a few minutes, then suddenly remember, oh yes, but after tomorrow stock market will go, let me try to sell that stock today itself, so I make my profit. So I call, come on, sell that property, sell that stock today itself. And okay, but sir, it's closing time, it's all over. Now I have to wait tomorrow. I don't know how the stock market tomorrow will be. He's pounding his head and blood pressure goes up, and night you could not sleep and thinking constantly about, worrying about what would happen tomorrow. And then next day he heard stock market went down, and his worth of the $4 million became nothing, $500,000, and bank $2.5 million. And then you can see in Wall Street it happens. They all put bars on the windows. Yeah, really, they jump through the window. When the stock market goes, they literally. So they put a thick bars and the plate glass so heavy. They want to jump through the window. I'm not making a joke, it is true. The plate glass so thick, even the bullet cannot break it, And that is the situation. The funds, So it's called vikshipta. So you try to draw the attention. Otherwise, ordinary people, if not, okay, it's holiday, Sunday, so morning, after breakfast and these things, and at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, you put fishing gear, about $300 worth of fishing gear, and put it all the things and the bags and some worms and hooks and this and that, etc. Put it on a hook, the boat at the back, and call the children and put it on the right side, and the wife at the back, and one skid on the neck, and all the fishing gear, etc. You are going for a fishing trip, and you got into the thing, and then looking at and the child start crying. He's holding. And by evening, about 3 hours, 4 hours, he got a teeny weeny, so big. Of course, the big one got away always. He came back, he could have gone for 5 cents in the market, and he spent about $40. He spent about 5 hours, and he came back with that one small. But what exactly the purpose is? He is trying to draw the mind away from all this hustle and bustle, so he can focus the mind. Of course, you know how to do that through a candlelight or chanting, but he doesn't know. He only knows that. Or you take a golf, and go on. It didn't go inside, break everything. It's concentration of the mind. It is what exactly what you are doing. They are doing the things, but in a negative way, not in a positive way. That's the difference. So vikshipta, you draw, but there goes again and draw from that. The second mode of the mind. So sometimes you got only occasionally it doesn't go too much bother you. It settles down in a newspaper or a television, or even just sitting quietly watching a sunset. You are quite happy. A kind of contentment is there at that time. You don't need too much of that. That's called vikshipta state. From scattered to vikshipta, withdrawing, slowly coming to the centralized area. And the third state, then it cannot go on do that also. It is mudha. Now it doesn't want to do anything. It doesn't want to think. It don't want to read. He doesn't want to look at newspaper, nor look into any televisions or a hockey game or football game or nothing. He just want to. It's not sleeping. Not thinking of the stock market. No, not thinking of the wife, children, no pleasure. He doesn't want any enjoyment. He doesn't want to be bothered, just mudha. It's called, it's inert state. That's the next third state of mind, inert. In fact, you all know that state of mind. Once sometime you felt it, is it not? I don't have to explain that because it's like the honey. Because I know what the honey tastes because you all tasted honey, there's no problem. So you know that's experience. All the three experiences you know, is it not? Kshipta, you know the mind is scattered state where mind wants to go to dancing, jumps, etc. And then sometimes you are quiet and happy to see a sunset or just to hear some music of the classical music, and then you just settle there. Third state, then you don't want to do even music. You stop the music, television, etc. Everything, These three experiences you all know, is it not? Now the other two experience, unless you are a yogi, you never tasted that experience of the mind. That's called ekagrata, fourth state. Here the mind or ekagrata, one-pointed area. It is consciously done, not unconsciously or subconsciously or haphazardly. He draws the mind, he has got the capacity to reduce the velocity of this mind, mental waves, the amplitude, cycle and amplitude, he can bring it down. Like in a radio waves or any other waves, like brain waves, there are amplitude of the brain waves, also cycles of the waves. In the beta states, the brain waves goes to very high cycle, but 14 to 50 cycles per minute, per second, it goes. And also amplitude is very high or very low. That means this shows how your mind your brain functions. That means in the waking state, mind is very disturbed. Then when it comes from the higher cycle to lower cycle, 7 to 14 cycles per second, is called alpha state. When the mind is calm, the brain is calm, brain act is calm. So you're always peaceful in the alpha state of the brain waves. Then comes still lower called theta state, about 3 to 7 cycles. And then delta state, which is go to sleep state or unconscious state. slower state, 1 to 3 cycles. The same way, mental wave, which you can't measure through any EEG electroencephalograph, like the brain waves. Brain waves is only projection of what the state, a basic quality of your mental state you can understand, but it is not real. There's no way you can measure the brain conditions or the mental conditions of a person. But Ekagrata state, the brain will be always in either alpha state or theta state, always. Because that brain cycle also goes down, so your breathing becomes very slow, your pulse rate, heartbeat, everything slows down. In fact, your whole metabolic activity will go slower state in the Ekagrata state. It's a natural. Not only that, is a physiological reaction. The inner experience is a kind of silence, peace that passeth all understanding. Time passes very fast. An hour or two will at least be only a couple of seconds. Just passes off like that. And you don't need any company. You don't care about anymore. The world becomes just like a mirage. No reality for you. Because it is like a dream. A person wakes up from the dream. That dream reality will disappear. Same way, the world just becomes like an illusion that a time, it just flies away. Time stops there almost. There's no time. Motion of the time stops. Day and night has got no meaning. Pain and pleasure has got no meaning. That is a kind of experience. That's what they said, negation. We can't explain that. We can't describe that, they said. So that's called Ekagrata. But still, mind has to go a little bit more deeper. And when the Ekagrata becomes perfect, no more the mind moves. It's steady like the candle flame in a windless place, not a slightest motion. And that's called Niruddha. It stops. The motion of the mind stops. And all the world also stops with that. Past, present and future become one. You cannot distinguish. Like in a person in a deep sleep state, very close to that experience, Niruddha, it's like deep sleep. But the only difference is there's awareness. Other things are all quite common. The only way we can explain about that state, the fourth state, Niruddha or Turiya, or superconscious state, or God-related state, or cosmic consciousness, only explaining the relationship between the experience you get during the deep sleep and that fourth state. In the sleep, these are the common experience, all of us have it. There's no time awareness for all of us. Time passes, suppose a person 6 hours, other person 8 hours. When you wake, when you're all in the waking state, you ask him how many hours you slept. She said, I don't know. But when she looked the watch, oh, it's 8 a.m. Oh, I went to bed 10 p.m., 8 a.m., so she can, oh, I spent about 10 hours in the bed. Another person, how many hours, Babu, you slept? I don't know. He looked, oh, it's 10 a.m., so I must have slept 12 hours. But if there is no watch, when they both come to the waking state, they will say, we don't know. It all appears to be all same. And suppose I am talking to in a lecture, and all the doors and windows are locked, so you can't get away. And I am going to talk because Shivaratri night, I am going to talk to you whole night. And all right, Swamiji, you can talk. Of course, we can't get up, but we know what to do. Well, you don't have to do. Your mind knows what to do. It goes to. Okay, you can hear. You can tell Swamiji whatever you want. The first you go to Mudha state. You won't hear anything I say. Not even a word. It will come. And from the Mudha state, it goes to. Not the fourth state, Ekagrata. It goes to. You don't need a pillow, you don't need a king size bed or king size bed. You can just sitting position, you can just sit. You sleep. And suppose I also went on sleeping. I also start snoring. You also snoring. And then we all woke up. Oh, so sorry. But somebody came and knocked. My God, yogis, whole 1 year you are sleeping in that state. 1 year? We only went just started the lecture about an hour ago by Swamiji. No, whole year. And it is not 1986, it's 1986. 87, and Prince Andrew has got a new baby. Oh my God, we are sleeping. So, in 1 year at 10,000 years, it appears to be only just happened because in that state, mind doesn't function to create the time, awareness, past, present and future exist only when the mind oscillates. So in the deep sleep state, there is no time awareness. So also in the Turiya state, fourth state, when the mind is niruddha, also there is no time awareness, exactly deep sleep. Like a person meditate 5-6 hours, sometimes I sit 6-7 hours in the cave for me, nobody to talk. In fact, I was observing silence, except some couple of crows will come and some myna will come for some food and I eat. And beyond that, there's nobody there to talk. And of course, myna won't talk to me because he's observing silence too, like me. Except the crow just make a couple of noise to get some food. And so there is no, but time goes. 3 months. In fact, I once spent 6 months. But 3 months went so fast, I did not even know it went. So time awareness just diminishes, you see. And so that is, second thing is, there's a common experience in the deep sleep to all of us, the same, a painless state. That's only time we don't have either physical pain or emotional pain. See, in the waking state still I got some pain in my, that's why I'm moving because after the accident, my second time my knee got broken. In the first Agnes pain, I was almost dead. And then the resulted with the patella broken. It took more than a year and a half to heal the knee. Because I accustomed to cross my legs, they put on my legs in the cast. I couldn't take the pain of that cast. So I took the cast off. I had to heal it without the cast. And now and then I just put like this little about a second, 3 seconds, 4 seconds. And then slowly I can then able to sit. Same thing, the first time I would sit about 15 minutes now. Yes, I couldn't, still yesterday I could only sit for 5 seconds or 5 minutes, and then before, about a week before, I couldn't bend my legs, you see. So anyhow, when there is, in the deep sleep, and I had to put on heavy socks, woolen socks, etc. to keep my knee warm, and sometimes I had to put hot water bottle to go to sleep to keep it warm, and then they put a pair of packs, etc. So many things. But deep sleep state, I don't need any of those hot bath or this bath or that bath. And I did not know anything about, I even had a knee, not the pain. I did not know I got the broken body and broken nose, and I got a frostbite. 3 of my left toe was eaten away by the frost, and the 2 the right. And I did not even know anything. In fact, even during meditation also, I did not know. That's what happened. If it was pain, at least I would know that something is happening. You know, I was in the caves, the dark room, and I only wore thin socks, and I was sitting 6 hours, 7 sometimes. And so the circulation was completely shut off, and the cold, 0 degrees temperature, that's all, there's no heat, or 24 hours out inside and outside almost the same. And so even the frost, the toes were completely frozen and oozing. I did not even know that until I came out, and one day the sun came and opened the socks, there's the blisters. Thank God I found out the right time, and if the army did not bring me back, I would have lost that, gangrene would have developed, and then my leg would have gone. So anyhow, so there is no pain. So pain is in a certain time, it's good. So you think pain is bad, you know. If there pain, I would not have gotten the frostbite. Middle, I would have taken action. I would have put more socks, etc. So anyhow, in the fourth state, same thing like in the deep sleep, there's only time out of the 24-hour cycle we are free from pain. Without the deep sleep, our life becomes miserable, unbearable. Because it doesn't matter how much money you have, how much champagne you have, how many millions of shoes and racks you have it, like Marcos, and how many billions of dollars. If you're constantly thinking every night, oh, I got a $20 billion in the bank, I got a gold bed, I'm sleeping with a gold pegs and gold, I got a gold shower and a gold wash basin, etc. How many days you want to have that type of experience without sleeping, constantly thinking of that? You just want to forget that, I won't mind to sleep anywhere. Please let me forget all these $5 billion and so that's the only time God has given us a natural way to escape from this duality and go into yourself. Because you don't have to think of your husband, your wife, your children, family, how much you love your husband, how much you love your husband. You want to forget everybody, everything, money, bank balance, your nature, palace. Just you want to be within you, resting yourself. So every day we go in the deep sleep state, we get a kind of superficial fourth state, superficial. So there is a painless experience. We all know that experience, deep sleep experience, but it's not unconscious state. That's very important. Yogis only explain that deep sleep very clearly. An unconscious state is different. Suppose I am sitting here and Girish came behind and hit me with a hammer. And after third day, I opened in what my first question is. Huh? What my first question when I woke up? Where am I? Then what is the question? Next question. No. I don't know, he did it. I don't know anything because he did it from the back, you see. What happened? I asked the question. I don't know, something hit me. It could be hammer, it could be something must have fell on my head. I don't know anything. So I asked, what happened to me? So there is completely a lack of memory. Everything is completely stopped functioning. But when you come up to the deep sleep, what do you say? Oh, where am I? What happened to me? What do you say when you come from the good deep sleep, night sleep? What do you say? Hey, I had a good sleep. I feel so fine. You remember an experience. And that experience is always the same. You know what that experience is. But I say, oh no, your deep sleep is not like my deep sleep. I am Swami. Then I sleep, it is wonderful. You can never get that experience. What is your answer is? No, Swamiji, that is not possible. Your deep sleep and my deep sleep is exactly. But you didn't sleep for me. I didn't sleep for you. But we all know that cannot be. All of the time we disagree. But this only one experience we don't disagree. Suppose we took some ice cream or Srikanth from Gujarat. They brought the best Srikanth sweet, the real of Gujaratis. And she gave to everybody Srikanth. And each one will say, it is sometimes it is good, sometimes it is not as good as what do you call the Western, what is your sweet here? Cookie. Chocolate. It's not as good as chocolate. And then say, it is not so bad, Others say, oof, it tastes horrible, that it's too sweet for me. Yes, it is very sweet, it's too sweet, I can't take that sweet. So each person will have different, but no one will say the same experience will have from the same object. We all will agree to disagree. But this only one experience we will never disagree. That the experience, that cosmic peaceful experience which all enjoyed. And tonight you are going to have dream all the night. Would you like to have the best dream? You will have it. You have going to have lots and lots of halwa, pizza, bananas and barbecues and dance, music. Whole night you are going to dream all those things. Would you like to have that? Whole night?
Lovely deep sleep.
You want to forget even all those, you want to just forget all the dreams. Let me have So if you can't sleep, go on dreaming and daydreaming, what do? You take a sleeping pill. What he's doing? He's getting another way of hammer. It appears to be deep sleep, but it is not. It is only a restless, though that appears to be sleep. So the deep sleep is not a merely an unconscious state. It's an experience of your self. No duality there. So yogis explain about the fourth state, when the mind reaches niruddha state, that stopping state, is like the deep sleep. There's a peace that passeth all understanding. That's the difference with the deep sleep and the fourth state. Because there is a kind of awareness in the fourth state. It is exactly deep. There's no time awareness. There is no pain or pleasure. It is peaceful. Everything is the same like deep sleep. But over and above, it is this peace that passeth all understanding. A awareness of I am. You can't even say that. Because no one to say, no one to know, but you know I am. And what is that I am? You can't even say it is an experience bliss. I am bliss. When you wake up you can say I am bliss, but in that experience it is only bliss. As if you become light itself, Ananda itself, bliss itself, Shanti itself, peace itself, Shalom itself. You are just merging into the silence, in the Shalom, in the peace. That peace that passeth all under. That's only difference between deep sleep and the fourth state. All the things are exactly like deep sleep. That's called Niruddha. So the king said to them, oh, my Pandits are this great learned Pandit, you know all the Upanishads, Vedanta, all these things what I taught, you talk about these things, but none of you ever experience that peace that passeth all understanding. Your talk is only intellectual. I am experiencing. So what is that? All this food and all this chandias, it's not going to bring any peace for me, because I am constantly enjoying that inner peace, inner silence. I am constantly merging in that. Though my karma, I have to perform my duties, and sometimes pressure, pain, etc. These are just karma. I am not attached to that object. So that is the instruction the king demonstrated through that experience of that soul over the head. So also, you must know that with all your wealth, power, position, will disappear. It's like a mirage, like that Marcos. They don't even have a home now, like Shah, you know. No one wants them. Though they're $10 billion, they got it. And even Panama said they will take, okay, if we give $150,000 a week, we'll just give you, you will be our guest. Then of course other person can, no, we won't accept you for anything. So they got no home. Did they get any other place yet? Still they are in the same compound of the military compound. They could not even get out of the military compound. They had the beautiful palace, and she has got the gold wash basin, etc. It's all just become like a mirage. Everything left. It become painful. So they bundle some of those notes, etc., and put in the bag. And that also became painful for them now, because the Congress is investigating, and they have to find out where the money has come, and so forth, and they want to escape. Oh my God, they are going to investigate, so they want to get out of the United States now. They got a beautiful Manhattan palace-like building, etc. They don't want to go anywhere now. They want to get out of them, go anywhere. They want to leave United States, like a poison for them. Just an example of these things. So what is your wealth, your power, your position, your money, your palace, your background, your husband, your wife, all become the same husband will become your enemy. The same wife will become put poison in your food. Like one blow that German who gave the extra injection to this wife, insulin. She's still in coma because of
in
America, you see. Anyhow, stories are like that, you know. So what is that? Your emotions, etc., all will just disappear like a bubble, like a mirage. There's got no reality. But you are accustomed to think this is real. Husband, wife, romance, and oh yes, Prince Charles is going to marry now. Prince Andrew is going to marry, and all that imagination. You live in an imaginary plane, and that makes the mind more and more extrovert. So learn to bring that extrovert mind every day, half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour. Try to bring, even if you cannot meditate completely, reduce the velocity of the mind from the scattered state, even to get picture. Occasionally, if you can draw and stay for even for a couple of minutes, if you can just make it still, you achieved a great success in your life. That peace, what you get during that time, is far beyond your description at this moment. You learn that every day. At that time, you can go to any solitude. You don't need any food. You don't need anybody. You don't need any conversations, because you can just merge into that silence, into the nature. So that is the purpose of satsang, to remind you that your kingdom is not outside, that your kingdom is within. And that is, you don't have to go to even Himalayan cave if you know how to make it. So God punish me. Don't stay too long there. Come back to Britain. There also you can find the same peace. So, in conclusion, remember that your karma will get you a house, husband, wife, children, money, bank balance, or no minus bank balance like me. I'm minus millionaire, you see.
You got millions of hearts.
Minus millionaire.
Yeah,
So you can be plus millionaire or also minus millionaire. It's both are same, you know. So what difference is there? Anyhow, I'm a millionaire too, because I got only pair of clothes. I can go to cave, and I can forget even Girish. I don't have to worry about, because there's nothing here to see. You cannot run away with any money of me, which I stored in my bag here. Suppose if there's lots of money in the bag, I won't go in cave and meditate. I'll be sending, please look after the Girish, faster. You just make sure that Girish is not running with my money and he's not conspiring with Padma and taking all my money away. So I went away. In fact, he also came and Swamiji, I want to spend with you in the cave. I said, you run away, I don't want anybody here. I had enough of you, let me be alone. In fact, he polluted the Ganges. The Ganges is the most pure. It comes from the glacier, only 12 kilometers away is the glacier. From the mouth of the glacier, the Ganges gushes out. It's pure liquid ice, that water. He just washed all his things, bad things in that. So I did not want to begin further wash any more of that. He took several cold baths in that ice cold Ganges, you see. And I said, that is sufficient. Now you are pure, you get to get it. Yes. So the experience, if the money, just like Rajneesh, you see, they got $50 billion, $60 billion, they say, they stole $50 billion and 90 Rolls Royce. How many Rolls Royce you can ride? And all the Rolls Royce become so painful. Now he has got, now he is wandering from one country to another, just moving, they are throwing away, no one wants in any place. Any amount of money they won't want. Look at that. I can just go anywhere, even I went for East Berlin, West Berlin, I flew over the wall in one and small ultra aircraft to East Berlin. And I didn't have anything except a couple of bunch of flowers in my hand. And they treated me very well, East Berlin police, and gave me a sandwich and sent the back here. And they gave me also a free token, a free ticket to go back to West Berlin. Because I did not go with enmity, nor I had any money, nor see, I got freedom. But if there is money, even if I had a small knife in my hand when I cross the border, the thing will be different. They will, there is something. So they got no fear because I came with flowers, not with the guns, and I was not even afraid of their guns over the border. I was just going, you can see that the watchtowers, the machine guns, they could have just only one small shot, that's all. Myself and ultra friend will come like a bird. They shoot the, what is that, the in the season they,
Pepper.
The pepper, they use the shotguns, to shoot the birds, something like that. Anyhow, they could have brought me very easily, but because they knew, for the advertisement, Swamiji is coming, though he's crossing the wall, he has got nothing to worry about. So when I landed, it took for them an hour, and they were not very running towards me to catch some kind of spy, They came very slowly, and then I told them that please do one thing. There is a parachute which is triggered by electronic trigger, and it's got a charge which can explode, and that releases the parachute, in short landing, if I need it, emergency. And they may not know that, So I told them, be careful, don't touch any of those electronic, because if you push a button, that discharge, and then there will be an explosion, and then you think that I just brought some kind of bomb to kill anybody. Please make sure it is a parachute, is electronically triggered cartridge there, etc. And they were very happy. So we'll send the proper expert. And so, they were very happy. They interrogated about 2 hours. And then in between the interrogation, they asked, are we treating you well? It's okay, you want anything else? Because they're all tape recording everything, you see. So they want to make sure. Afterwards, I won't just go and tell something about what they didn't do. They were, in fact, really they gave a respect, and they were talking not like a police, so they got the power. They could do anything they could have done. But they knew that I came with flowers, not with any malice, even to East Berlin or West Berlin, there are Germans for me. And because of that, they treated me like a guest and then sent me back. Same when I went to from Tel Aviv to Cairo, I flew over the Suez Canal with a Jew. First time in the history, we crossed the Suez Canal, and either side of the Suez Canal, those days, Egyptians on the other side, Israelis on this side, they would shoot even a fly. In fact, they tried to shoot me down. But the drops of flowers in leaflets, first time coming over that, and arrived in Cairo, they blindfolded, kept in a jail, and they gave vegetarian food, interrogated. They asked, are you an agent of CIS? They asked me. And what is CIS? So you don't know CIS? So I corrected, you mean CIA? So you know CIA? Sure, the whole world knows about the CIA, so what's wrong with that? And we asked you not to come. Well, you ordered, but there's other. I got order from other dimension. I said. So he was baffled, And yet afterwards, 3 days they interrogated. They said, okay, myself and the Jew. I brought first time a Jew to the Egypt without a, and they treated him, even a Jew, in a very kind-heartedly, and they're shown all over the Cairo. At that time, Sadat was the president. And every day they brought back to the jail every evening, but daytime they took us all over under government expense. We had Nile Hilton vegetarian dinner and Nile Hilton everything. They arranged in the camel ride and all those pyramids and everything, all under government expense, because we became the guest of the government for 3 days. Except one thing only I could not take it. They took us to a nightclub. I said, Swami, I don't want to go to a nightclub, but anyhow, we had to see our nightlife because tomorrow we are leaving. And I went there, and of course they asked anything order, and the smoke-filled room, by 12 o'clock I said, we want to go back to our jail. We can't stay here. We forced them. They were enjoying it, so we had to force them to bring us back, and the jail was so wonderful. No noise, no smoke and no... Anyhow, that experience, again, that even a Jew in an Arab country, at those times there was no even diplomatic relationship between Israelis and Egypt, and a Jew was treated well without having any animosity, because he also went without having any distinction. They thought we are human beings. We are not Arab or Jew or Catholic or Protestant, English, French, German. We are human race. We must love. With that attitude, we went, at that time the same reaction you get from the people, The hatred and the fear increases. If I had a gun in my hand and go cross the border, he came for only to disturb our peace, and when you don't have that fear, anywhere you can go. Anywhere you can go. So that's what my purpose of flying over the Suez Canal, flying over, to show the humanity. We are human race. This idea of British, German, English, Catholic, Protestant, Jew, Arab, these are only labeled like Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola. But what is the difference between Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola? What's the difference? Just label. But the contents which is going to quench your thirst is water. Coca-Cola contains water, that's only quenches your thirst. So Pepsi, so 7-Up, so also orange, any drink, is the water which quenches the thirst. That's the essence. Other things only label and little color and so forth. The color, taste, sweet is not going to remove any of your thirst. It's only water contents is only. That's only essence. You heat the Coca-Cola, heat Pepsi-Cola, heat the 7-Up, what you get is pure H2O. So in all of us, that one self, that king said, one self, Atman, shines equally. Neither because I'm seated up here, I am not big, you are not seated down, you are not small. That self shines equally in all of us. That cosmic experience, you remove this label and find that peace. So that is the only way you will be strong anywhere you go. With that peace, that happiness within you, there's nothing to be afraid of anybody, and no one is afraid of you, because you are creating only a positive atmosphere. Even snakes won't move. In fact, it actually happened in one of my yoga teachers in Grass Valley, California. And there were teachers, the tents somehow on the hills, beautiful grassy area. They put tents. And one girl in front of that tent, a small little stones, pebbles are there, so, and the stones, she leveled up and then was meditating. And when she finished, she felt something uneasy about at the bottom. She just got up and saw there was a rattlesnake coiled lying down calmly. She was sitting literally meditating on a rattlesnake, and rattlesnake did not move because there was no fear from her. In fact, she did not kill afterwards. She only just got into a bottle or something and then brought and thrown to her. Swamiji, I was meditating without knowing, the rattlesnake. It did not even move. See, your fear creates them automatic fear in them. The vibration in the thought, in the atmosphere, there is vibration, you see. So when you go with the love, that's seeing the self, Atman, love thy neighbor as thyself, not the body, self, Atman, which people do not understand what self means. Once you start seeing the self in all, not as American, French, English, Catholic, Protestant, king, queen, you don't have this distinction. These are labels, but self is equally shining. Then there's cosmic love, cosmic peace, and that's the purpose of our life. So increase this experience, and all bless you all. Om Shanti. I did not come for satsang. I did not even know there's satsang until I came here. I just want to reach Nassau to get some warmth to defreeze my body. Thank you all anyhow. I'm very, very happy to be here. Thank you, Babu and the rest. Shanti. Just put out the light just for 3 minutes. Close our eyes, enter into that silence as much as possible, just 5 minutes. Reduce the thought velocity as much as you can. Bring the mind to introvert as I